Hi there, and welcome to another episode of Reminiscing with History Makers. I'm here today with Rich Rybicki. Thank you for joining us.
Glad to be here.
So let's start with when did you join APCO?
I joined APCO in 1985 when I worked for the city of Detroit. And I got involved there. At that time, Detroit was quite active in APCO, and it was just natural progression of the career path.
Great. So describe for us your agency, your position there, and some brief responsibilities.
Well, I started out with the city of Detroit, as I mentioned, and when I got involved with APCO, the chapter had bid for the 1995 conference, and we were at the chapter meeting, and there were only two of us from Detroit, and they says, well, I guess Rich will have to represent us. So that's how I became involved as the local chair.
What was the course that drew you to join APCO, or was it a particular person?
As I mentioned, APCO was, or Detroit was always involved with APCO. Russ Robinson, who was a national president, encouraged people to get involved, and he was probably the most influential.
Can you describe some of your APCO activities in the state and national level during your tenure?
Well, I went through the state chairs, and that's how I was attending all the meetings, and I was the representative for Detroit, and I ended up being the chair when we hosted the conference in Detroit in 1995, and that was the big introduction to National APCO and all it does.
Did you have a favorite along the way?
A favorite activity?
Well,
the hosting a conference is a big undertaking, especially back then. It was done more at the local level than it was at the national level. So we had to do a little bit more homework than I think the chairs do now. But it was fun, and you could go to the Bradley Library and look up 1995, and there's plenty of articles on Detroit at that time.
How would you say your APCO membership has had an effect on your career in public safety communications?
It's had a large effect because I then moved on to the state of Michigan when they were putting in their statewide system, and two of the gentlemen on the interview panel were also members of APCO. They had gone through the chairs also, so that makes an interview process quite easy. And it was, then I got hired by the state, and that's what moved me away from Detroit and into the Lansing area.
What would you say you like most about APCO?
The networking. You meet a lot of people that can help you out with your career, a lot of knowledge there, and the more you get involved, the more you can learn. So I always encourage people to be involved with professional organizations.
Do you think there's anything that APCO needs to do to move forward or stay current in the industry?
Well, I think they're doing a pretty good job as it is. The conference has gotten bigger and better every year, it seems like. So they are doing a wonderful job, and you know, they're getting a lot more done at the legislative front, which is always a big plus.
Do you have anything that stands out to you as a significant contribution during your time?
Well, I've been on the historical committee quite a few years, and I was chair when we got the online museum started. And then I also, Dave Swan was a good friend. He's passed on, but he's started the Bradley Library, and I visited down there with him, and it's preserving our history both through the online museum and the Bradley Library.
Great. Well, this has been Reminiscing with History Makers. Rich, thank you for sharing.
Okay, you're welcome.